All right, I was recently asked a question about, well, what if I don't need a lawyer? What if I can just put it all into Chat GPT and have Chat GPT tell me what I need to do, and then I can represent myself in court? So I'm going to try that. As a lawyer, I'm going to put information in that I think a client would put in, and let's see if Chat GPT gives the right answer. We're going to start off tonight with a DUI case. So as you can see, I am on the regular Chat GPT screen here. There's no secrets. So I have a free account down here, you can see, and I'm just starting from a prompt. So let's pretend I was just arrested. I was arrested last night in Forsyth County, Georgia for a DUI. I think I passed the field. No, let's do it in real. This is how a lot of clients say. I passed the field sobriety tests, but refuse to give them a blood test because I don't like needles. The cops still arrested me and took me to jail. They also took my license. Can you create a defense for me so that I don't have to hire a lawyer? And we hit send. And let's see what it says. Especially in a county like Forsyth County. Now, I will say Forsyth County is probably in the top 3 hardest counties to deal with a DUI in. We have very trained prosecutors here. We have very trained judges here. And this county is very tough to get rid of a DUI. So it's interesting that it says in a county like Forsyth. It can cost you a license for several months or longer. That said, I can help you understand the landscape and where the pressure points in your case. First, what likely happened legally. Even if you passed field sobriety, that doesn't bind the officer. In Georgia, the DUI can be charged based on driving while less safe due to alcohol. That's true. Less safe act, meaning that you either committed an act like speeding, failure to maintain lane, or the law actually says in Georgia, you don't even need to commit a less safe act. So let's say, for example, you're sitting in your car with the car on, drinking beer. That could be a DUI. You can also be charged with a DUI refusing to submit to testing. So what that means is you didn't give a blood test or a breath test or a urine test. There's 2 consequences after Georgia's implied consent. Okay, license suspension. Let's see if this is right. Refusal means automatic administrative license for 1 year, sort of, and no limited permit in many refusal cases. That's true. But, and this is huge, you typically have 30 days from arrest to challenge the suspension by filing an ALS request with the Department of Driver Services. And if you miss it, your license, you can lose your license. So that's sort of true. You do have 30 days to file an appeal, but now you don't actually need to file the appeal. You can get an ignition interlock instead of an appeal to keep your license for a year. So sort of true. Key defense angles. Was it whether the stop was legal? Did the officer have reasonable suspicion to pull you over? Any dash cam, body cam inconsistency? If the stop is invalid, everything gets suppressed. So I guess what they're saying is if the traffic stop was invalid, so if you actually weren't speeding but you got pulled over for speeding, if that's invalid, then everything gets suppressed. The answer would be yes, that is true, if you can prove that it was invalid. A lot of times what we have is the actual violation is not on the police dash cam. So the officer will have to come to court to just tell the judge, yeah, I saw him, fail to maintain his lane. And most judges, especially in Forsyth, are going to believe the officer. Field sobriety test. You said you passed the test. Pass, which matters, but officer can still claim clues. And these tests, and here's your 3 tests. HGN, so this is the eye test, the walk and turn, and the one-leg stand are highly subjective, absolutely. A defense would review body cam closely and challenge the scoring administration, especially for NHTSA compliance. Absolutely true. So far ChatGPT is telling us the correct information. Refusal doesn't prove intoxication, but many prosecutors will argue consciousness of guilt. It's exactly right. And they can get what's called a jury charge in Georgia for the jury to also believe consciousness of guilt. However, you still have the right to refuse. So the defense angle is, was the implied consent notice read correctly and timely? So that's that card when you're usually in the back of the patrol car in handcuffs, and the officer's reading it, and they're saying, Georgia has conditioned Georgia has conditioned your ability to drive on the highways of this state, and then it asks you for a blood breath or urine test. That needs to be done pretty quickly after they place you in handcuffs and say you've been arrested for DUI. If it happens, if they put you in the cop car, then they take you to jail, then they put you in the cell, then they pull you back out and read it, that would be incorrect, and most likely you would have a chance of winning. Were you confused, interrupted, or misled when reading that card? Well, we'll get into that later, but that card by itself is confusing. But unfortunately, the law says that cops just need to read it. They don't need to explain it. They can't explain it. And if you ask any questions or even ask for a lawyer, it doesn't matter. And did you unequivocally refuse or hesitate? Did you say yes or no? Was there a question about, well, what if I take it in here and do this? Or, hey, can I have a few more minutes to decide? We have to figure out, did you refuse or not? If the warning was defective, refusal evidence can sometimes be excluded. Absolutely correct. Lack of chemical evidence. This is your biggest advantage. No breath nor blood or breath result, no numeric blood alcohol concentration. And the state must rely on officer observations. Correct? That turns a case into officer opinion versus video plus your performance. So far, absolutely correct. Less safe. The prosecution must show that you are a less safe driver or less safe to drive. So were you driving normally? Was there an issue with you speeding? Failure to maintain lane is what we see the most of, so you're veering into another lane. Failure to stop at a stop sign. Was there an accident? Generally, if you've got into an accident, that element has been met. Good standardized field sobriety performance, so you've done good on the walk and turn, the one-leg stand. No slurred speech, balance issues, bloodshot, watery eyes, a big clue for law enforcement. So yes, these are things this is exactly true. The prosecution is going to say that you were a bad driver or that you shouldn't have been driving because of all these indicators of impairment. And of course, you're going to say, no, I wasn't. I was fine. I didn't have slurred speech. I looked good. The license issue. You need to figure out, did they give you a DDS 1205? Absolutely true. Meaning, in Forsyth County at least, they make you sign it in the jail. And then when you come meet with me, the first thing I ask you is, did they take your license and did they give you a form? That form is called the 1205. That's your temporary driver permit, more or less, that we have to deal with within 30 days. And what date was your arrest? Many people come to me and it might be 4, 5, 6 days. It might be 29 days after their arrest. So we need to know what the exact date is. And here we go. Now this is coming back to what I said earlier. You can request a hearing within 30 days or install an ignition interlock in some scenarios. Perfect. So those scenarios being, if you're over 21, you can have an interlock, and you have to be a Georgia driver's license holder. So if you're 18 years old, you don't get this. If you're 21 years old but don't have a Georgia driver's license, you don't get this. So far, Chat GPT is exactly right. And your license suspension will go into effect automatically, sort of. It will go into effect on the 46th day after your failure to file an ALS appeal or get the interlock. So it will go into effect, but not until the 46th day. What can you do on your own? Request your ALS hearing immediately. You can do that without a lawyer, but you may want to get the ignition interlock. So that answer is partially true. All body cam, dash cam, and incident report. You can try to request it. Under state law, the government doesn't have to give you any of this at any time soon. In fact, you may not get any of this for probably a year and a half if you file correctly. And even under the law, they don't have to give you all this. So even though you request it, a lawyer is going to have a little bit more information on how to get it. So this is sort of true. Write down everything you remember. Yes, generally it's a smart thing to go on Google Docs or Microsoft Word and write down everything that happened. and then revisit that in about 2 or 3 days afterwards to add some details, just in case the body cam or the dash cam aren't working. And believe me, 99% of cases now have this, but if you're in that 1%, you're going to want to know what the heck happened 2 years from the date of the incident. Preserve any receipts or witnesses showing limited alcohol use. This is good information. Certainly that's going to go back in the timeline. Hey, I really only had 2 beers at this restaurant, and let me show you my receipt. Why lawyers matters. A good DUI defense attorney will subpoena and cross-examine the officer at the ALS hearing. Huge opportunity. Massive opportunity. If you're having an ALS hearing, what you're signaling to your lawyer is that it's okay if your license gets suspended for a year. A lawyer would be so happy with that because now they know they can actually have a hearing. And this essentially is a mini trial. We can find out the good, the bad, and the ugly about your case within 60 days of the case, of you being arrested. So that's huge. A lawyer can spot technical defects in the implied consent warning. Absolutely. So really, if the implied consent warning was read in its entirety with no omitted words or changed words, that's not really good for your case. And most of the time, the officers are reading it correctly. But if they start changing words out, like they use the word submit when you're not supposed to, or require you to take a test when you're not supposed to, if that changes the substance of the implied consent warning, your breath test, your blood test, your urine test, or your refusal to give those tests could be out of evidence. So that's exactly what good DUI lawyers do. Use the video to dismantle DUI less safe claims. Well, first off, were you driving poorly or less safe? We can use the video. Your field sobriety, we can attack that based on what you look like on video versus the report. Probably in about every case I have, when you read a police report, you will think that you are the drunkest human being on the planet, just the way it's written. But then when you watch the video, you realize that the impairment indicators that the officer was writing down really aren't as big of a deal as what they look like on a and you can negotiate, a good lawyer can negotiate reductions. It is very rare that a client, that I have seen a pro bono client, meaning representing them, a pro se client, represent themselves and get a rack list. First off, you should never be your own lawyer. You should never represent yourself, but you aren't stating the right questions, right? I think I should have a reckless driving because. Well, because what? Because you're a good person in society? That's not a reason for a prosecutor to give you a reckless. But a lawyer kind of knows the prosecutor, he knows the judge. He knows, even if you got a reckless, what this particular judge wants in a plea offer, or how to get it past the judge to say, here's why we're giving a reckless. And at least in our county, both judges more or less are asking, why is the case reduced? Do I think judges should be asking that? That's a different question. But they generally are saying, why is, John Smith's case being reduced? And the prosecutor and the defense lawyer will tell them the reason, judge, bad implied consent, it was a bad traffic stop, he looked good on fields. Again, these are things that lawyers are doing every day, hundreds of them, thousands of them. So that's what a good DUI defense lawyer would get. Without that, you're fighting procedural traps. That's correct. So what's the procedure of the case? When are the court dates? How fast are they coming up? Do you want to file what's called a speedy trial? Tight deadlines. So you may only be entitled to evidence within a certain amount of time prior to the court date. Certain judges have what's called case management calendars or case management orders that tell you exactly when things are due, when discovery needs to be done, when you need to file motions. Motions are like motions to suppress, to challenge evidence. Sometimes those are allowed, 10 days after arraignment, sometimes a little longer or shorter. You have to know all that. And then, of course, you're going up against a prosecutor who does this every day. And like I said, in our county, these prosecutors are very, very good. They're very up to date on training, and most of them have been here at least 5 years, if not longer. Some of them way longer than that. And this is what they do every day. About 90% of their caseload are DUIs. So they're aware of every new case that came out, every case that's been overruled, everything the judge now wants, doesn't want, and you're going up against someone like that who will bury you and destroy you if you try to take that yourself. So it says on this factual basis. So this one, remember, we put in, I passed the field sobriety but refused to give him a blood test because I don't like needles. They still arrested me and took my license. So Chat GPT is now saying you actually have some strong facts. You have no test, and you believe you're performing well in field sobriety. That's correct. They have no test to convict you. They don't have a blood test that says you're on drugs or over the legal limit of 0.08 with alcohol. You just have a refusal. You might be able to explain that. Look, here's why I refused it. I don't like needles. And that's the only test the cop asked for. He didn't ask me for a urine test, a peanut cup. He didn't ask me for a breath test. He asked me to stick a needle in my arm and take blood. I don't like that. And I also think I did well in field sobriety. I didn't fall down, so I'm good. But again, you have to balance that with the refusal creates a serious license problem. That's absolutely correct. You don't get an extension for the 30 days. That's a hard deadline. And then, of course, the timing of when you file motions, when you file your ALS appeal, when you get the ignition airlock. If you want, I can help you map out exactly what to file for the ALS hearing, break down what to look for in the body cam, or pressure test your facts like a prosecutor would. So this is sort of video one on what I think ChatGPT is dealing with, or how to use ChatGPT, or what a client would look like using it. But our next set of ChatGPT is going to be putting in incident reports and seeing what ChatGPT would tell you to do if you were your own lawyer, starting with a DUI police report. And let's see if ChatGPT can win the case versus a prosecutor. My name is AJ Richmond, criminal defense attorney here in Forsyth County. Thanks for watching.